This episode of Heroes of the Horn is brought to you by Sir Thomas of House Sweeney. With his coming are the dread fires born again. The hills burn and the lands turn sere. The tides of men run out and the hours dwindle. The wall is pierced and the veil of parting raised. Storms rumble beyond the horizon and the fires of heaven purge the earth. There is no salvation without destruction, no hope this side of death. Fragment from the Prophecies of the Dragon.
Welcome to Heroes of the Horn, a Wheel of Time podcast. I am Sir Matt.
And I am Sir Ezra. Welcome to our Wheel of Time book club. The horn has sounded and we have answered the call. Today we are covering the prologue to the Fires of Heaven. Wow.
Yeah, as you know, I really like doing these prologue chapters. One, because they're like kind of isolated. But two, I think it's just good. It's kind of like a cool, it'll give people some more time to read, the next block, get into the next sort of block of chapters. But I got to start the show today with an apology.
Okay.
I've been wrong. I owe, there's a serious apology I owe. I have been massively mispronouncing something, and people have been calling it to my attention. It is not what I get blasted for on YouTube all the time, which is sometimes when I accidentally say Edmonds Field as opposed to Emmons Field. Sorry, that's just slips. Yeah. So I say it sometime.
Right.
It's actually, and my brother Nick, and some other people have pointed this out. It's not the Forsaken; it's the Chosen. Okay,
wow.
There's a
wow. Oh. My gosh. I did not know where that was going. I said there are so many things that you could mispronounce in this that we all do. That is not the one I thought you were going with. So who has gotten to my friend Sir Matt? Who has gotten to him? I feel him turning away from the light and I don't like it. Okay. Holy smokes.
Well,
man.
Are they friends of the dark or are they dark friends? Okay. That's what we begin to discuss.
The distinctions are important. I mean, it depends on, where you stand. Are you in the light? Are you not? Are you Inktar reclaiming the light for yourself? I mean, good gravy. Wow.
I mean, what's the difference between Ordeath and Mordeath?
Hey.
We're going to find out.
Right? I guess. I mean, it's good call. We do have where we left him last. He was in the old Two Rivers plotting away. And now we see him in a very interesting place in this prologue. So, but
great chapter. Yeah. Great chapter, by the way. So we are recording this on the 16th. And so it'll probably come out whenever we get it edited and posted. So maybe tomorrow, the 17th, or the day after that. But Wadon Prime has teased maybe something for what is for us tomorrow, which is the 17th, which is also St. Patrick's Day. So don't know what that's going to be. If I had to take a guess, if you're going to release something on St. Patrick's Day, I think it's got to be something to do with maybe like a tavern, maybe something Tom related, right. In the tavern,
some drinks.
What if they showed us what if they showed us him in the Wine Spring Inn, just like playing in this? He's gonna have a guitar, right?
Yeah. I'd lose my mind. That'd be insane. That'd be cooler than anything we've seen so far. I mean, everything's been cool, but
because we haven't seen a character in costume yet, officially.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that would be cool to kind of see us take that up a notch. I think they're saving all that for a trailer, but like what they've been doing the item thing, almost like an item description, like here's the sword, here's the guitar, whatever it might be. I was thinking
the dagger.
They might, the dagger. They might show us here, for example, shout out to the Dusty Wheel show. I got my mug here. Like, what if they showed us a couple mugs, and you're hanging out at a place like the Dusty Wheel with Innkeeper Hatch or something, and you got your mug and you're just doing your thing. That'd be kind of cool just to see the inside of the Wine Spring Inn or some other place like that. Yeah, I mean, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I just blanked. What's the one in Camelin? Is it the Queen's Blessing?
What if they're gonna well, do you think they'll show us something green tomorrow? What's something green that they could show us? That's kind of what they've been responding to people.
Man, I don't. Green Aja related, possibly. Like the Green Aja, perhaps. Yeah. I don't know. That would be really cool if you saw one. They're not
Is Loyal's coat green? Is it? Is Loyal's coat green?
I think at some point, yeah. I think yeah, you could do that.
I just want to see something.
Oh my God! What if they, dude? Hey, what if they show us the Green Man? You just want to go all out. Just show us up at the eye of the world. The actual big people are like, yeah, that's you've gone too far, Sir Ezra. Too far.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah. No, it'd be cool though. It'd be cool just to see something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I mean, yeah, you guys will know by the time we post this, and can send us a message. You can post about it in the old Facebook group there. That'd be kind of cool. So,
by the way, let me find this really quick here, just to see here. I need to go to tweets and replies because that's where it's at. Just in some of the people they've been they've been responding to. Yeah, people. Oh, there's the big the unblurring, right? The people are trying to unblur.
Oh my God!
And it's like they're like constantly talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Sir Matt that these will be the days of early speculation where, like, we were around. It feels good to be there in the early days of like talking about all these little tidbits. And you do have, again, shout out again to Matt Hatch over at the Dusty Wheel, who does things like that. Who says, let's try to bring on people who have unblurred this or look for a way to get the script or see what's behind all of the blurring. It's wild. People are scrapping for any little piece, any little thing.
Mm-hmm. Right here. Yeah. Okay, this is what I was looking for. Okay, her Twitter name is Pixie Herbert. Okay, I don't understand how this is a thing. Okay, so she's doing like nothing, but she's doing TikToks, but they're all like Wheel of Time related TikToks, right? There's like one where she's like making fun of Nynaeve, like just constantly like tugging her hair, like like no matter where, she's constantly like, tugging her hair like all the time. Right. Yeah. Anyway, so Wadon Prime has been like retweeting her and stuff, but she still only has 100 followers on Twitter. How do you get retweeted by a Twitter account with like 70,000 followers and you're making great content and you only have 100 followers on Twitter? And one of them's me. So out of her 111, I mean,
I don't know. Hey, we get 113.
Can we give her a bump? Can we give her the wheel, the Heroes of the Horn bump?
Let's give her the bump. Yeah. I don't know.
Let's give her the shout out.
What was the handle again? What's the handle?
It's like I have Pixie Herbert is her thing. But Wadon Prime's retweeting her and they think she's great, and so it's like, yeah, shout out, man.
Cool.
To people making cool Wheel of Time content, you know?
There's
not a lot.
There's not a lot. Not yet. Not yet. Yeah. Well, and yeah, no, I'm happy to be here, and I think it's important to try to make the best quality content, create a good, fun community where people can hang out and have a good time. And honestly, I got to give it to the Wadon Prime Twitter account is very active, and it does keep people, I think, highly engaged, and it's a lot of fun. So, I mean, that's really cool.
It is, and it's cool because they constantly tweet at anybody. So like if you have sort of like a Wheel of Time name, people like they tweet back at you and stuff. They haven't tweeted back at us yet. They have liked some of our stuff. Yeah.
It's cool. Just cool. It's crazy. It just feels it feels cool. It feels really neat to be a part of this community and to see it rising and to see more folks getting to know Robert Jordan's amazing series. Mm-hmm. So,
speaking of which, remember it was like a week ago. We didn't actually talk about it on the podcast. There's a Wheel of Time video game.
Okay? Oh my gosh.
Yes. We looked this up. I don't know. I can't remember how I stumbled across it, but it was not like we were doing research for Wheel of Time. I was doing research for something else and stumbled across this. There's a Wheel of Time video game. It came out in like the late 90s. and it's like a first-person shooter of all things.
Yeah.
And you play as an Aes Sedai, and so you're like casting magic and stuff. So think like it looks like Doom, or like Duke Nukem, like those old school games where you can't even really play. But it got great reviews, and the developers went over to Robert Jordan's house and showed it to him. So this is like the first time he's seeing his world sort of somewhat created in like 3D, and he's thought it was great, and Robert Jordan thought it was great.
Yeah.
And it's an original story. It's an original story. It takes place like hundreds of years before this does. I mean, I know the wheels turning and whatever,
Yeah.
So, but you know what I mean?
This
like,
this beginning,
right? For perspective, yeah, but it's pretty cool.
Well, didn't you say it was up against like that year? Another great game came out that like because you found some article.
PC, yeah, it was like PC Gamer, which is like a pretty big. I mean, they're a pretty big like still to this day, they're still a pretty big site. But they had like back when everyone had magazines. Said it was better than Baldur's Gate, and I was like, okay, hold on a second here. That's considered. It's just mind-boggling that they gave it PC Game of the Year over that, and I was like, how is this possible? Because I mean, Baldur's Gate's considered to be like one of the top. I mean, it's like one of the best RPGs ever made, and they liked Wheel of Time, so it just didn't get a lot of coverage. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah, and so that's really neat. We looked it up. There's gameplay footage and stuff. I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe it. So yeah.
And so I guess what books had been written by 1999? So by 1999, they were only at the Path of Daggers.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're at book 8. You still got a handful more to go.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
So when did Robert Jordan die? Like 2005 or so, something like around there.
Let me check here. I can't remember the exact date. But it looks
like that was the last book by him. Was around like 2005. Looks like it was the last book by him.
2007. 2007 is when he.
So
passed away.
Yeah, right around there. Yeah, 2007. Yeah. So it's weird. I wonder if those game developers got inside secrets to the upcoming books, and they knew things maybe even before Brandon Sanderson knew things.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, they're talking to him. Well, yeah, exactly. They are talking to him about something. That's the cool thing. That actually is where Theoryland and all of that kind of the forums and stuff were going on. People, as these books were coming out, it's kind of early. Yeah, it's in the 2000s, late 90s or whatever, and people are speculating, blogging, and talking about this. It was really something to kind of wonder what was going to happen to Matt and Perrin and Rand, and people weren't sure. It was a different time. There's still some mysteries. There's still a few things that every once in a while Brandon Sanderson comes out and gives you a little nugget of something that he learned or a cut scene or whatever. But yeah, neat to think about. There's actually an interview you said where somebody interviewed him and he was like kind of talking about his
one of the developers.
meeting.
I was trying to find him. Yeah, I was trying to find him, but I can't remember his name, unfortunately, so I don't just have it like immediately sort of pulled up here. But I had found him on Twitter, and he just wrote some book. But there's an interview on his website where he's talking about going over meeting Robert Jordan, and then working on this, and then working on this game and kind of showing it to him and stuff like that. So. Man, maybe we could reach out to him, see if we can get him on the show.
Oh, it'd be sick.
I gotta find him. I gotta find him. So next time we'll be more prepared. It was something we just kind of remembered, but
yeah.
Nonetheless, let's get to the prologue.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get after this. So, this is last book we didn't have a prologue, right? So we did not have one, and this time
that is correct.
Yeah, we're back to having the good old-fashioned prologue, and they're cool because we're not actually with our main characters. We actually have the point of view of like Elida from the White Tower, and we have Padon Fane. We got Fane's point of view, and then Raven's point of view, actually. So, well, Ravin, and then you've got Lanfear, Samael, Grendel. They're all there. So this is a really interesting kind of prologue. We're learning about different areas. It's setting the stage, taking us to the White Tower, getting us two different perspectives there, and then we're with the Forsaken, trying to figure out what they're all about and how they're maneuvering around. So, yeah, we start with, let's dive into Elaida, I guess, that perspective, right?
Yeah, can I just say really quick? So, you know, we finish the last book, okay? And I'm like, man, I'm diving right into the next one. It's such a great place to stop, right? Rand and is like, we just met Osmodian, and Perrin's like doing with all of his stuff. He just told the White Cloaks to basically off, right? He just told him off. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm like so ready to jump into this next book. And then I like download the Audible, press play, Elaida, and I'm just like, oh
God.
Like, not that she's bad or anything, but it was just like, I'm ready to go, ready to rip, roar, and tear back with like right where we're at, because it's such a high point.
Yeah.
No. So yes. So let's dive into it here. So we're with Elaida, and we are in the White Tower. And this is actually a really cool scene, because you have Elaida and the rest of the Aes Sedai, minus any sort of blue Aja. Now remember, Elaida's the new mother. She's in charge.
Yeah,
She's in charge. Okay. And she's listening to everybody talk about, what's going on and everything that they're working on. And Elaida's just kind of sitting there, and she's just kind of like listening and sort of thinking. And everyone's really kind of like nonchalant about it. Right. And then she begins to sort of crack the whip and kind of remind everybody, oh, who's in charge. And
that's
wow,
right.
Sounds to me like all I'm hearing is there's problems in finding the Dragon Reborn, because we need to get him and bring him here so he doesn't die before the final battle. She's I'm trying to remember exactly who it was where she says, well, it sounds to me like you're going to be, you need penance every day until this is solved, right? And sort of asking everybody, does anybody else going to have a problem, difficulties finding Rand or finding her, right, who has run off, because she won't name her name.
Right. Yeah, Swan. Yeah. This is interesting because it's, as you said, starts off and there just seems to be no respect. It almost makes you think that this is just a figurehead, and really there's a power behind the power. Like these people supported, bringing down Swan, so they feel like they're entitled to a bit more of an opinion or power here in the White Tower. So yeah, Elaida definitely is trying to regain some of that. She has a picture of Rand in Falma fighting, right? And she notices that many of them will not even look at that picture. And so she's kind of forcing that, like you said, forcing the issue here. Yes, there are many problems. Yes, there are things going on with Mazrim Taim, who is a man, Sir Matt, who can channel the one power. Now, guess what? We also just had one of those guys. Now he's been gentled, okay? Logain has escaped. Now that ought to scare. That name still is a scary name for some people, right? Because he's whatever. So we'll come back. We'll catch up with all of them later, next chapter and so on. But Mazrim Taim is on the loose, and you've got all sorts of people are stirring, thinking about this. You've got there's some unrest in the Borderlands, which is interesting. Some infighting that doesn't typically happen there. I think there's a reference to Queen Tenobia, right? Is that in here? Yeah, I think so. Just in Mazrim Taim, and trying to figure out what to do, and should they go after him? There's like an army marching. So there's all those things happening. We're learning about the White Cloaks and what's happening with Amathera, the Panarch, what happened there, and is she lost? How can we find her? Where should we send advisors? There's rumors about Queen Morghese and Andor, and her new lover, Lord Gabriel. So the Kyrian Sun Throne is needs to be claimed. It's wide open. What are we going to do? But the whole point is that it is time to go move on and get ready for a move against Rand al'Thor, the Dragon Reborn. As you said, the last battle's coming, and they definitely need him there. It's an interesting cast around her, and she does recall, and she thinks back to one of the former, I think it's the last Amerlin seat who was of the Red Aja, who I'm trying to think what happens to her. I'm sorry I don't have this in front. Yeah, it's here it's right there.
Bonwyn?
Bonwyn, yeah, yes. Who was stripped of her staff and stole after nearly destroying the tower in the days of Arthur Hawkwing. So you're getting now you're getting a historical reference, and hoping that she doesn't repeat history here again. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on Elaida, I guess? I mean, do we trust her? No,
I don't trust her at all.
I don't trust her. Okay.
Not for a second, I don't trust her.
Okay.
If this series has taught me anything, it's taught me that immediately anybody who seems sus is sus.
Yeah,
okay,
sus.
It's pretty straight. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, anybody who is probably is.
Right.
Right. But yeah, it is kind of interesting getting her sort of internal perspective here, and I guess it doesn't seem like this whole kicking Suan out was really to me. It doesn't seem well planned.
Botched.
Doesn't seem like it seems like Elaida is a little in over her head.
Yeah,
because she's just kind of sitting there and she's listening to everybody, and so it's kind of like you have to remind everybody that you're in charge. Mm-hmm. Are you in charge?
Yeah, right.
You know, Game of Thrones reference here. You know, no man who has to say he is a king is a king. I mean,
that's right.
The great Tywin Lannister says it best, right? You know, anybody who has to remind anyone that you are king is no king, and that's kind of what I feel like is happening in this scene. Is they do all begin to then kind of listen, pay attention. I forget the woman's name when she's talking to her, and she was gonna say something, and then she realizes she shouldn't. Right when when Elaida's sort of yelling at them.
Yeah.
And then it just seems like she doesn't have control over the situation. I mean, you took over in sort of this time of turmoil in which Rand is out there, and there's also Black Aja that we're searching for kind of in secret. You've got, there's war, right? The Shan are coming over. I mean, Tyr, you're hearing that all of these seals are beginning to be broken. All of this things like the last dragon's banner has been raised in Tyr and Calendar and all of this stuff. And I mean, the Two Rivers has got stuff going on with the White Cloaks. And, normally it's like when you hear of, even like in our world, when we view sort of like elections in sort of turmoil years, it's always like, it's usually the person who wants to be in power is criticizing the way that the other person is handling their job in the chaos, even though it's, they can say, hey, this is how I would come in and fix the chaos. Well, she doesn't really seem to kind of have a plan for that. It's kind of like, well, just go find them. I mean, that's what Swan was doing, right? So it doesn't seem like she's doing anything really differently. She just seems to sort of now be in control. And it didn't seem like she really had the respect to people until she sort of reminded them.
Yeah, for sure. And, one of the things that when you look at how she went about this, and we can talk more, I'd probably have to pull up the quotes, but like it's a narrow margin that they actually kind of get rid of Swan. So it splits the tower, which is, it's the whole thing. It totally was not a good move. If you're fighting for the light and you want that tower to be whole before the last battle, this was not like the best move. Now, is Elaida right to some degree in that like things were being kept, very important things about like the Dragon Reborn, super important stuff was being secretly kept from the rest of the tower? I don't think anyone likes that. And so that's sort of where, you say, all right, that's how she got just enough support to kind of move it her way. Now, so she does have like the knowledge of the Dragon Reborn is out there, and they're all talking about it now. That's the only real difference, right? I mean, as far as we're early on in understanding Elaida and where she's at, but yeah, now we're openly talking about the Dragon Reborn, whereas before it was like, all right, Varen Sedai, now you're in on this secret that Moraine and I have had for a long time, and one by one you're pulling in these different pieces and you're keeping it real close to the chest. I think there would have come a time. Now, what do you think about this? There would have come a time where Siuan would have gone to the gone to the tower and said, "Hey, look, here's what's up. I have Moraine working close with you know what I mean? Like, do you think she would have ever done that, or would she have kept it? How long do you keep it? Yeah, it's just a matter of when. Well,
right. I mean, I guess it's the way it's sort of like, you know, I mean, you look at, you know, how much stuff happens behind. Let's take, I think it's easy just to view it as sort of like, let's take the president. Okay. The president of the United States.
Yeah.
When Barack Obama was going after Osama bin Laden, it's not like he came out and said, oh, hey, we're about to go storm Osama bin Laden's house, their compound that he's in. No, he comes out afterwards and said, hey, we just conducted an experiment, or not experiment. Yeah. We just conducted a mission, and it was successful. Here you go. Yeah. You know, what good does it do for me or you to know that they're going to go do this? No, it doesn't do anything. They got it under control.
Right.
So I think it was fine that she was keeping that information. Now, eventually she would have to tell everyone, because you would think the Aes Sedai are going to need to know. Sort of about this stuff that's going on, but she was basically conducting internal investigations, right, with Moraine and some of this other stuff to gather more knowledge until they know. I mean, what good does it do everyone now to know that Rand al'Thor is the Dragon Reborn, and we need to go find him? Right.
They haven't done. You're right. There's no. So yeah, it's basically. Had Siuan have done this a little bit sooner, she'd still be in power. I mean, had she have, you know, eventually got to this point, I think, you know, maybe people would have questioned her handling of it, or said, hey, you kept it secret too long. We still need to change or whatever. But Elaida definitely catches her at a vulnerable moment, just at the right time before, you know, she's able to kind of come forward and tell folks about it.
It also seems to me like, I mean, I know obviously they're also. The writing of this is sort of to portray her as a villain. But it seems to me like these people should know a little bit better. That doesn't the Dragon Reborn need to go do all of these things? Isn't that part of the prophecy that he needs to? I mean, I know that everyone kind of has differing opinions on it. Moraine and Rand, and here you go with Elaida. Or Elaida, I should say. I read it as Elaida. My bad. Yeah. Elaida. So, but if you just have the Dragon Reborn sitting at the tower, just sitting around waiting for the final battle, he won't be battle tested. He needs to go do these things, right? I mean, that's kind of Rand's idea. Is it's gonna happen no matter what. I'm gonna go do what I'm gonna go do, and if it's part of the prophecy, then it's gonna work. So, right. I mean, I think Elaida is probably working for some other people, but yeah. I mean,
all right, okay,
that's right. I mean, that's where ultimately I kind of land on, and that's how her point of view kind of ends, by the way. So real quick, one thing to note here is as she's kind of telling everyone here, go. I want like book reports basically of all of your findings and daily investigations. Alvarin, right? Seems to sort of think of herself as her equal. And Elaida says, I'll have to do something about that. But right now I'm too busy because a man named Fane has shown up.
Yeah. Yeah, Bodon Fane is up in here. And actually, he's thinking to himself, right? He's happy that he's almost like, I think he thinks Elaida is a little bit easier to handle than maybe Siuan would have been. So he's kind of delighted by this. And he shows up there. He does have this funny moment where he considers killing an accepted. He's thinking about like having an accepted for lunch, scary guy, just weird, you know. Fane is just something else. He's totally changed from the beginning of the series into, we don't even really know what, right? I mean, like, he's doing weird stuff with the white cloaks, and it's wild. So, but yeah, he does take a good look at Rand al'Thor's picture. He's looking at the picture above there. He thinks about how he can feel this ruby-hilted dagger pulling at him, and that the Horn of Valir is being kept in the tower. And then he's talking to Elaida about Rand, and how he is extremely uncontrollable, and just sort of like maybe what he could do, maybe like some. I mean, he's maybe hinting at possible help or whatever. But yeah, Padan Fain is up. He's there for one. He's there for the dagger, right? Wouldn't you say? I mean, what do you think? I mean, right? And so
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He's 100% there for the dagger. Yeah. Which is crazy because it's crazy to think that he's just like, well, I'll just walk up and get it. Right? I mean, he's not
afraid of any of them.
Men, no, he's not. Men don't normally go to the tower.
Right. Yeah, it is kind of it's a very interesting image. I mean, there's something, he just seems to have no fear of anyone. He's frustrated. He's upset. He's angry. He wants Rand. He's consumed with finding him. Very upset about the whole Perrin ploy going wrong, or not the way he wanted, but maybe it's because he needs his dagger, or there's things that might enhance him in some way. So yeah, here he is to kind of toy with some of the Aes Sedai. So.
Would I be incorrect in saying Padan Fain is kind of like the Smeagol of this series?
You know, I don't know. He is tortured.
I mean, obviously Smeagol's like weak, right. But I mean Padan Fain's certainly more of a threat. But I just mean he's that sort of third faction. He's his own thing, really.
Yeah, and he does have weird kind of twisted thoughts and almost somewhat of like a split personality sometimes. Different memories kind of melded together and something going on. But as you said earlier, between Mordith and Ordeith and the whole situation, and
right.
Shadar Logoth and the dagger. And yeah, what are his powers? What can he? Who is he bound to? Who does he serve? All that kind of stuff, you know, is very interesting. So yeah, Fain is that's not. It's not a terrible comparison because he is that conflicted. And at one point we see Smeagol extremely conflicted, you know, Smeagol Gollum situation going on, a little battle back and forth. So that, if you just isolate that and say, is there some of that in Fain? Yeah, sure. But yeah, for sure. Is he more powerful? Does he have, I mean, he walks in here with like a swagger. Yeah. And it's like, okay, he's talking about eating accepted for lunch. And I'm like, okay. He's just What's that?
Well,
about,
I mean,
right?
Also to him is the dagger precious to him? I mean,
yeah. There you go.
It's sort of
he can
he's
feel
drawn
it.
To
yeah,
like this very specific item too. Yeah, he also knows that the horn of Valir might be in the tower.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That he at one point had the horn. You know, that he was running around. Remember back in the Great Hunt, and so it's like he has the horn, loses it, the whole thing, and then now he's right back here at it again. So yeah, it's be interesting to see kind of what happens there in the tower, right? As he's what's he really up to?
He wants Rand, and
trouble?
Elaida might give him to him. So you know, we'll see. So then we switch to one more sort of point of view here. This is from Ravine.
Yeah, and we kind of we're in his chambers, and you actually do have, it's hinted at that there's a sister of the of the Red Aja there with him, and that individual, and I can't remember if it's directly said or they name the power, but is being kind of controlled by Ravine, and he's thinking, you know, it's implied, I can't remember if it's directly stated or not, but that could be an agent of the tower, right? Because if you remember, Elaida kept talking about sending agents to Queen Tenobia, to Amathera, and then, you know, Morghese has been without kind of a counselor. So should we send someone there as well? And it looks like, you know, the Red Aja has someone already there. But anyway, he contemplates what he will do with Morghese when he no longer needs her to rule as the Queen of Andor. So he's thinking about some of that. When they both leave, Ravine is visited by Lanfear. The one and only Lanfear. And actually, kind of funny to say it that way because Lanfear has been many different people so far.
Right.
And yeah, like what? Yeah, so she kind of shows up, and you learn some interesting things about men and women channelers and what they can sense in one another and what they can't sense. You know, that was, remember when Rand was trying to train and learn about he had, was it Egwene and Elaine channeling against him in Tyr, and he's trying to figure out, like, how can I tell when I'm being attacked or would be attacked and that kind of thing. So you get some more of that with Ravine and Lanfear here. And then she basically says that she's scheduled a meeting with Samael and Grendel at his palace, you know, and that they're showing up and they're going to arrive shortly. The four of them then discuss the situation with the rest of the Forsaken and Rand and what they're going to do. Ravine thinks about how the situation can benefit him and him only. And I bet if we switch, you know, point of views to different folks, and we'll get this later, but each of the Forsaken is scheming and up to no good. Sometimes they want an alliance that maybe will protect them for a leg of their journey, but ultimately they're trying to one up the other one or get a little bit further ahead. And yeah, they want to be like the ultimate chosen of the chosen. I hate to use that term, but that's where we are right now.
Well,
okay?
that's what they want, right?
That's
yeah,
what they want.
They think of themselves as as the chosen. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time we've seen Grendel.
I think so. I think maybe you've
that? No, I think.
No, I think so. I think you've heard of Grendel
because they very specifically describe her when she walks in as like if it weren't for Lanfear, she would be, you know, extremely beautiful woman. But I mean, next to Lanfear.
Yeah, okay, yes. We'll learn more about her. So yeah, don't look up the wiki page because it does not start off with a good. It starts right out with a spoiler. It's like unreal.
Spoiler. Okay.
Yeah, because you have to kind of scroll down and see where she comes into the story. So yeah, she does team up with Lanfear, Samael, and Ravine. They're trying to turn Rand al'Thor to the Shadow. Yeah, and that's where we'll stop with her story. But yes, brand new. Kind of coming in here, and they do mention, don't they, the other four who have been killed, right? They mention that it's these four, and there were four previously, two in the first book, and then Rand, two in the second book.
Rand kills one, and then Nynaeve, yeah.
So,
they're dropping like flies.
Of them are, they are, right? I mean, they are. So they're talking about what to do. You know, what are we going to do? What are us four going to do? Should we lay a trap? Should we kind of work together, talk about Rand al'Thor, and where do we go? And I think the overall impression for me is like, this is the Forsaken showing up here. I mean, these are some of the baddest of the bad. Like your Tippy, like, yeah, I don't know. You know, I mean, maybe it didn't feel that way, but like, I know just hearing their names and then eventually them showing up and then all them talking together, I had to replay it. Like, wait, what'd they say? What are they doing?
Right.
Because it is kind of like tucked in at the end.
I'm gonna ask sort of what appears to me to be an obvious question. Why didn't all 13 just get together after they figured out this is the real deal, especially after two of them were killed, and just say, if we all go in together, we should be able to take him?
Now, you know what?
Is it just sort of that, like, that arrogance that some of them think they're like so powerful on their own? Because that's kind of the way it's worked. It's sort of on their own. They're, I'll go foil, you know, Perrin, or I'll go do this or whatever, and then it's not. It's
So actually, interestingly, the way this kind of works, and I think when you think about the Forsaken, I don't remember exactly when each of them, the sequence or the order in which they escape or they come out of the Dark One's prison. But you know the seals are breaking, so we know, and I think it's talked a lot that I'll use the name Balsamon, who we're familiar with, was kind of 1 foot out of the prison and 1 foot in. He's like sealed, half in, half out. So he's been with one arm touching the world, doing weird things, and then he is the first one kind of out who is in the dream world talking with the boys and all that kind of stuff. And then you have, what's his name? Agenor is there at the end. And so you have those two kind of show up and then boom, they're taken out. So yeah, it's kind of like as they're...
So it's not all at once.
Yeah, and sometimes they show up in batches like this. Like Lanfear's been around, Ravine's been around, Samael, but as you said, Grendel's just now showing up. So where has she been? Has she been hiding somewhere? Did she come out a little bit after the other ones? So it's sort of a gathering themselves and trying to establish a domain and an area of power. So yeah,
and it seems it seems to me too. I mean, I know Lanfear's kind of said a few times she's kind of got her own agenda, like with Lews Therin, you and I together we can rule the galaxy, type of a, like we could defeat the Dark One together and then rule. But so then the other ones, is it kind of like, I guess maybe I'm thinking if I could be the one to take out Rand al'Thor, like that, think of how great the Dark One would view me, right? Like, I'm the one that defeated your enemy. Yeah, so there is sort of that kind of competition between them.
Yeah, they each have a different motivation and a desire and sort of like a
role
lust.
Play.
Yeah, and some of them have different like lusts and things that they're really into. And so coming back into the world, it's almost like this greedy kind of like, I want to be in a seat of power, or I want to be in the shadows, or I want to be in the dream world. Like they kind of gravitate back towards almost like getting a feel for the land. But then you're right. Now it's how can I put myself in the best position, be the strongest of the strong, and maybe get Rand al'Thor turned with me or bring him in on a leash to the Dark One. All that kind of stuff is I guess what they're scheming. But you're gonna find some really interesting personalities and differences between the Forsaken, which I thought was kind of cool. When I first read it, I was like, wow, these guys are like, they're not just like, they're very different, and they're very just, I don't know. The way they go about their game and their scheme is just so unique that you're like, all right, this is keeps it interesting, and it makes them each kind of stick out and stand out from the other one. Grendel, real quick though, I want to read, where was that description? So as you said, this was her description as she shows up here. Appearance. Yeah, she's beautifully full-figured with elaborately curled red, gold, and sun-colored hair. However, she is described as merely plumply pretty besides Lanfear. Like they just keep elevating Lanfear and saying Lanfear is just, just something else. So
here's this woman that would normally be considered the most beautiful woman you've ever seen until you've seen Lanfear.
Yeah, it reminds you of what is it? Helena of Troy or something like that, the most beautiful woman in the world type of thing. You're like, wait, what? It's just wild. So yeah. So there's that. I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. That is the prologue of Fires of Heaven. Starting with a darker tone, which I like. I like when we start. I like that most of our prologues have been, actually, I think all the prologues have been on a darker tone, right? We had the original one, with Lews Therin, Elena, and then the Dark Friends, right? And then the Dark Friend, and then the Dark Friends social. So that's good. And I'm already a little bit. I'm at the first chapter is kind of long, so I'm just towards the end of that. And wow, that's like, okay, this is where I was hoping to kick things off. Yeah. So maybe a little bit of on the road with some certain characters. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't just gotten there yet. But I do think for our first episode. So the next episode we do will be chapters 1 through 5, because there are some big ones in there. And so I kind of broke up the chapters this time. I went ahead and looked, and so it's going to be roughly about 5 hours of listen time, which is how I view it, because that's how I do the audiobook. Because there's some chapters, like the first block is like, man, there's some really big ones, and then the second block is like chapters that are 16 minutes, and so it's like, all right, well, like we can get through like 10 of those. So
yeah.
So this book will be kind of similar to Shadow Rising, where it's like, okay, there might be a couple episodes where we're like, well, we're only covering 5 today, and then another where we cover like 11, you know, so.
Yeah, just because, like you said, time, I think that was a good way to look at it, which is, 5 hours of listening time for you, not bad, and then we can kind of dig in deep. I'll be interested to see where the where the cliffhangers are in our chapters. So that's a good breakdown. Right. Do we do all of them? Do you want to give just part 1, 1 through 5, and then?
Yeah, exactly. So 1 through 5, and again, this is all subject to change because who knows. Right. 1 through 5, 6 through 16, 17 through 25, 26 through 35, 36 through 43, 44 through 49, and 50 through 56, which is that's actually like a 6-hour block. But I was like, well, do we really want to do 2 episodes of like 3 chapters? We might, who knows? It just depends. Yeah. But that's kind of the rough, pencil outline. That's subject to change.
Yeah, no, I like it. This is a fun, exciting book, and it really pushes us. And there are, as you saw, we've got 4 Forsaken here meeting in the beginning of this, so you can imagine that this is going to be an interesting book with a lot of different layers. We also have Osmodian, who's possibly gone over, as they say. Don't forget about him, who's training the Dragon Reborn, just like Lanfear wants to take place. So it's gonna be a wild ride, and it's a lot of fun. I can tell you. I just finished it, and I moved on, and I was telling you as I got to the end of this book, I was like, holy smokes, some pretty crazy stuff that I just totally forgot happens, and it is just it's awesome. It's gonna be great. So.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys, with that, we want to thank you for answering the call. As we said, in our next episode, we will be discussing The Fires of Heaven, chapters 1 through 5.
Yep. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a message at thehornofvalir@gmail.com.
We will see you soon, and remember that the grave is no bar to our call.